Imagine waking up as a regular single dad, desperate for coffee, and instead, you find the terrifying CEO of your company standing in your kitchen, wearing nothing but your old college t-shirt, flipping pancakes like she owns the place. But what she says next? It will leave you completely frozen. The morning sunlight streamed through the blinds, as Jack Bennet shuffled sleepily into his kitchen, desperate for coffee, only to stop dead in his tracks. There stood Olivia Winters, the intimidating CEO of his company, wearing nothing but his faded college t-shirt, her blonde hair tousled, as she made pancakes in his kitchen. But it wasn't her unexpected presence that truly shocked him. It was her casual words as she turned and smiled. "I called the school. Emma's staying with my sister today, because you and I are flying to Paris. I just bought the company that's been trying to take your department apart." In that moment, Jack realized this wasn't just a surprising morning after. It was the beginning of a life he never thought possible. Jack Bennet had perfected his morning routine over the 3 years since becoming a single dad. Wake up at 5:30 a.m., shower while still half asleep. Prepare breakfast and lunch for his 7-year-old daughter Emma. Wake her up by 6:15. Make sure she was dressed, fed, and ready for school by 7. Drop her off by 7:30. Then race to make it to his marketing job at Pinnacle Industries by 8, every morning, without fail, without variation, until today. Last night had been the company's annual gala, an event Jack usually skipped. But this year, with rumors of department cuts swirling, and Apex Corporation circling Pinnacle like vultures, his team had convinced him to attend, to network. They'd said, "Make yourself visible to the higher-ups." What they hadn't said was, accidentally spill champagne on the CEO's designer dress, then offer her your jacket to cover the stain, then somehow end up sharing a cab home, then somehow end up. Jack rubbed his eyes, trying to process the sight before him. Olivia Winters, the notoriously demanding, brilliant, and intimidating CEO of Pinnacle Industries, was standing in his modest kitchen, making pancakes, wearing his old University of Michigan t-shirt that hung loosely on her frame, but still managed to accentuate her curves. "Good morning," she said casually, flipping a pancake with surprising skill. "Coffee is ready. You take it black, right?" Jack nodded mutely, unable to form words. Olivia Winters knew how he took his coffee. The same Olivia Winters who had a reputation for remembering profit margins down to the decimal, but forgetting her own executives' names. "Emma's still asleep," she continued, nodding toward his daughter's bedroom door. "I peeked in earlier. She has your smile, even when she's sleeping." The mention of his daughter snapped Jack back to reality. "Emma," he said suddenly, panicked. "She can't. I mean, I don't usually have overnight guests." Olivia finished for him, a knowing smile playing on her lips. "I gathered that from the look of shock on your face. Don't worry, I'm good with kids. My sister has 3. Jack finally found his voice. "Ms. Winters. After last night," she interrupted. "I think you can call me Olivia." Her professional demeanor momentarily gave way to something softer, more vulnerable. "Olivia," Jack corrected himself, the name feeling foreign on his tongue. "Last night was unexpected. The best things usually are," she replied, sliding a plate of pancakes across the counter toward him. "Eat. We need to talk, and you look like you need food for this conversation." Jack obediently took a bite. The pancakes were perfect, fluffy, with just the right amount of sweetness. Of course they were perfect. Olivia Winters didn't do anything less than perfectly. "About last night," he began cautiously. "Last night was wonderful," she said matter-of-factly. "But that's not what we need to discuss." Jack felt a strange mixture of relief and disappointment. "It's not?" "No," Olivia said, setting down her spatula and looking directly at him with those intense blue eyes that had captivated the business world, and if he was being honest, had captivated him since his first company-wide meeting 3 years ago. "We need to discuss Apex Corporation's hostile takeover attempt, and specifically their plan to dismantle your entire marketing department if they succeed." Jack nearly choked on his pancake. "What? How do you?" I'm the CEO, Jack. It's my job to know these things. She took a sip of her coffee, watching him over the rim of the mug. His mug, the one Emma had painted for Father's Day last year. What I didn't know until last night was exactly how brilliant your market expansion proposal is. Jack blinked in surprise. His proposal, the one he'd spent months developing, the one his direct manager had dismissed as too ambitious, had somehow made its way to the CEO. You left your laptop open, Olivia explained, reading his confusion. While you were getting me a towel for that champagne spill, I saw the file on your screen. I only meant to close it, but the title caught my eye. Under normal circumstances, Jack might have been upset about the invasion of privacy. But these were not normal circumstances. Not with Olivia Winters standing in his kitchen, wearing his shirt, discussing his work with more enthusiasm than his own department head had ever shown. Your approach to emerging markets in Southeast Asia is exactly what Pinnacle needs right now, she continued. It's innovative, calculated, and frankly, it could be the difference between Apex succeeding in their takeover or failing miserably. Jack's mind was spinning. I tried to get my manager to look at it, but Marcus never sees beyond next quarter's numbers. Olivia dismissed with a wave of her hand. It's why he'll never advance further than where he is now. The casual assessment of his boss's limitations from the company's CEO was surreal. But before Jack could respond, a small voice came from behind him. Daddy, who's that lady wearing your shirt? Jack turned to see Emma standing in the hallway, her curly brown hair a mess, her favorite unicorn pajamas rumpled from sleep, and her eyes wide with curiosity as she stared at Olivia. This is Ms. Winters, Jack said carefully. She's from Daddy's work. Are you Daddy's girlfriend? Emma asked bluntly, with the unfiltered directness only a 7-year-old could manage. Jack felt his face flush hot. Emma, that's not. Would you like some pancakes, Emma? Olivia interjected smoothly, seemingly unfazed by the question. Your dad tells me you like them with chocolate chips, but I wasn't sure if he kept any in the house. Emma's face lit up. We keep them in the secret candy drawer. She rushed to a lower cabinet and pulled out a bag of chocolate chips that Jack had indeed hidden there, a small indulgence for weekend pancakes. Perfect. Olivia smiled, accepting the bag. Why don't you help me mix these in while your dad finishes his breakfast? Jack watched in amazement as his daughter, normally shy around strangers, dragged a chair to the counter and began chatting animatedly with one of the most powerful women in the business world about the proper chocolate-to-pancake ratio. 20 minutes later, Emma was happily eating chocolate chip pancakes, completely oblivious to the tension and confusion radiating from her father. Emma, sweetie, Jack said gently, we need to get you ready for school. Actually, Olivia said, checking her watch, a timepiece Jack recognized as costing more than his monthly rent. I took the liberty of calling the school and telling them Emma wouldn't be in today. You did what? Jack asked, trying to keep his voice level for Emma's sake. I also called my sister, Meline. Olivia continued calmly. She has a daughter about Emma's age. They're going to the zoo today. I thought Emma might enjoy joining them. Emma gasped with delight. The zoo? Really, Daddy? Can I go? Jack stared at Olivia, completely lost. I don't understand what's happening right now. Olivia's expression softened. What's happening is that I called the school. Emma's staying with my sister today, because you and I are flying to Paris. I just bought the company that's been trying to take your department apart. Jack felt the room spin slightly. You what? Apex has a parent company, Durand International, based in Paris, Olivia explained. Last night, after reading your proposal, I made some calls. This morning, I finalized the purchase of a controlling interest in Durand. We're flying to Paris to meet with their board and explain how things will work moving forward, with your Southeast Asia expansion plan as the centerpiece. Jack stood frozen, unable to process what he was hearing. Olivia Winters had bought an entire company overnight, based on a proposal his own manager had rejected. And now she wanted him to fly to Paris, today. But Emma, he managed to say, gesturing helplessly toward his daughter. We'll have a wonderful time at the zoo with my sister and niece. Olivia finished for him. Meline is a pediatrician with 3 children of her own. Emma will be perfectly safe. And we'll be back tomorrow evening. Tomorrow? Jack echoed weakly. Private jet, Olivia said with a small shrug, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. We can be in Paris for dinner, meet with the board in the morning, and be back in time for you to tuck Emma into bed tomorrow night. Emma, who had been following the conversation with growing excitement, tugged at Jack's sleeve. Daddy, can I go to the zoo, please? Jack looked down at his daughter's hopeful face, then back at Olivia, who was watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read, expectation mixed with something that looked almost like nervousness. From Olivia Winters? Why me? He finally asked. You could take any executive to this meeting. Why bring the mid-level marketing manager? Olivia set down her coffee mug and took a step closer to him. Because it's your vision, Jack. And because after last night, I realized something. What's that? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. That I've been running a company full of people whose names I barely know, making decisions that affect lives I don't understand, she said quietly. And then I met you. Really met you, not just as an employee, but as a person. And I saw how you balance being a single father with being brilliant at your job, and I realized I've been missing something important. What? Jack asked, genuinely curious now. Perspective, Olivia said simply. Your perspective. The perspective of someone who thinks about more than just profit margins and quarterly reports. Someone who has to consider school schedules, and lunchboxes, and making a life that matters for someone else. The sincerity in her voice caught Jack off guard. This wasn't the calculating CEO speaking. This was the woman who had shared whispered conversations with him into the early hours of the morning, who had listened to his stories about Emma with genuine interest, who had confessed her own loneliness at the top of the corporate ladder. So, Olivia continued, a hint of her usual confidence returning. Are you coming to Paris with me to save your department and revolutionize Pinnacle Industries? Or do I need to find another marketing genius who looks equally good making pancakes in the morning? The teasing lilt in her voice made Jack smile despite himself. He looked at Emma, who was watching the exchange with fascination. What do you think, Em? Should Daddy go to Paris with Ms. Winters? Emma considered this seriously for a moment, then nodded. Yes, but only if you bring me back a present. And only if she comes over for pancakes again. She makes them better than you do. Jack laughed, the tension finally breaking. Brutal honesty from my own daughter. Olivia's smile was radiant. I think those terms are acceptable. She extended her hand to Jack, suddenly formal despite standing in his kitchen wearing his t-shirt. Partners? Jack took her hand, but instead of shaking it, he held it gently. Partners, he agreed, the word carrying weight beyond their professional arrangement. As Emma cheered and ran off to pick her outfit for the zoo, Jack and Olivia stood in the morning sunlight, still holding hands, the future suddenly opening up before them in ways neither had imagined when they'd woken up that morning. And in that moment, Jack realized that sometimes life's most important turns come when you least expect them, sometimes even while making pancakes in your kitchen, on what you thought would be just another ordinary day.